crashing through the lies and disinformation. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Okay, I'm going to go to your phone calls right now, and I appreciate folks holding. Darren, Chris, Lex, Tyler, and others. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231. And then I'm going to get into the latest economic news and some medical news, as well as what's going on with the police state. But right now, let's go ahead and go back to your calls. Darren in California, go ahead.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. I can't credit you with waking me up. I got to give that credit to G. Edward Griffin in his terrific book. But I can credit you with slapping my hand every day when I try to hit the snooze button.
Well, we can't hit the snooze button. All of us have to be engaged, or we're going to be slaves.
Right, right. Well, I kind of have a bone to pick with you. I wish you would spend more time, and I understand why you don't, because you have to kind of pick your battles. But when it comes to the income tax, you know, I'd like to see you have more guests on, more experts that, you know, are familiar with this point and can speak to it and kind of inform people as to the illegal income tax and what we can do. I mean, if, you know, last week you asked if, you know, to call in and say what was the biggest problem that we saw, and I see the biggest problem being the Fed. Well, if we take away the Fed's ammunition, a lot of these other symptoms that the tumor of the Fed creates takes care of themselves.
Yeah, but you got to understand that they only tax us to add value to their fiat Federal Reserve system, and I want to get rid of the Federal Reserve. We go directly at the head. I'm supporting Ron Paul's move to audit the gold in Fort Knox to expose how criminal these private banks are and that we know they've stolen it. The evidence is clear. But I've probably done hundreds of radio broadcasts. I made a film, Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports Exposed. Joe Bannister, the IRS agent, is in it. We have Joe on a few times a year. I interviewed Aaron Russo about the IRS. It's in the documentary Reflections and Warnings with Aaron Russo. And we open the phones up, and you're able to call in about it. But the problem is this is a very sophisticated issue. And the globalists are allowing a lot of neocons to bash the income tax because they're going to get rid of it. They're going to call it a Social Security tax. And they're going to say it's frozen at 10% and give you a VAT and probably sales tax on top of it. That'll be even more enforcement and local control over everything. And so there's a big move to get rid of the income tax right now because they're going to bring in a bunch of other stuff on top of it. And they're just going to change the name of it. But people are like, why aren't you for the reform of Wall Street, Alex, that Obama's supporting? Well, it actually gave the top crooks on Wall Street more of a monopoly of power. So a lot of times what something is named is not what it actually is. I'm always for tax cuts. I'm for tax incentives. I'm for cutting the IRS. I'm for getting rid of the income tax. We didn't have it till 1913, 16th Amendment. It didn't become widespread till the early 1950s. I mean, I know all of that. And most Americans were exempt. And they take it out of people's checks so they don't really notice it. And it kills business. And it's all designed so the globalists can move things offshore. But, you know, I don't think it's fair to say a bone to pick. I mean, because you must not listen very often if you don't hear us talk about the IRS. But they're coming in with all these new fines and fees. And I'm so busy trying to beat the carbon tax, which is on everything, basically a global VAT. In fact, that's what the World Bank called it last year. I'm so busy trying to fight the local carbon taxes, doubling my energy prices in the next 3 years where I live, that, I mean, hell, there's 50-something million people not filing now. A lot of Americans are already rebelling. The amount of taxes we pay doesn't go anywhere near the budget or the deficit or what they're spending. So, I mean, I'll just say I'm bad. I apologize. I guess I'm evil.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I appreciate you do everything you do on a daily basis. I just think it gives people a direct benefit to dissent, and it's going to directly help our economy by having that money back in consumers'
Yes, we
pockets.
built the nation without the income tax. If we want 10% growth rates again, we should get rid of it. Yes, 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 I agree with you. And we talk about it all the time. That's why I'm saying I don't know what show you're listening to. My only issue is there's all this patriot mythology about how you get out of paying them legally by doing all this stuff. And I'm telling you, they're criminals. Yes, it's an illegitimate tax. Yes, it wasn't ratified. Yes, I've had, you know, the fathers of exposing this on, Benson and Beckman, and we've gone over it. And we've covered it over and over and over and over again. The problem is there's all these patriot quacks that lie to people and say, there's a way for you to not pay and have them not come after you. And I'm telling you, that's not true. I appreciate your call, Darren. Let's talk to Chris in Florida. Chris, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, I'm not sure if you've addressed this, although I listen to your show pretty much, and the Arizona SB 1070 bill that seems to be a moot issue now, but I think it's an overreaction to the staged crisis of the illegal alienation.
Oh, yeah, the feds have now filed another lawsuit, and they've sicked the United Nations officially on Arizona, another act of treason. But go ahead.
Yes, that is another aspect that could be brought up, but I wanted to clarify because it just shows how Obama wants to give more of the authority to the UN, and Ziggy B just said that the UN isn't really that strong of a vehicle just a few months ago. Speaking of the CFR, saying that towards world government, the UN isn't as strong as other vehicles, but of course it's still one of the cards they have to play. But when I called about the SB 1070 concerns that were raised by an article by Campaign for Liberty coordinator in Arizona, Jeff Greenspan, article from last March entitled "Oppose the Revised SB 1070 on National ID Concerns." And like I said, I think it's an overreaction to the staged crisis, and the solution that is spelled out in the bill is that they want a biometric international ID. Of course, the biometrics would only work at keeping track of the citizens only. It also includes E-Verify, for instance, employment eligibility verification. So it includes federal executives deciding which person gets a birth certificate, whether they're illegal or not. It's determined whether the parents have a national ID themselves.
All right, Chris, I appreciate your call. Let's just talk turkey here. I appreciate the call. We had a national ID card under executive order in 1993. Okay? We've had one 17 years. My first film, America Destroyed by Design, I covered it. The state driver's license were standardized at that time. They've now told the slaves in the last 10 years about federal standardization with just further federalization and new systems on the cards. They already have a hemispheric North American travel ID that the illegals are given. Every bank, every insurance company, every apartment company, they all accept consular matriculas that you can literally get out of a Cracker Jack box. It's all a lie that Arizona was going to pull over anybody with a dark hair or a suntan. It said if you were pulled over after first contact for drunk driving, violence, whatever, they would ask for your ID, and if you were an illegal alien, they'd take you to jail. But don't worry. Mexico's got thousands of deaths a month. Masses of women and children having their heads cut off after being raped. Mecha La Raza all hanging out with the El Jefes. The big rich Hispanic groups laundering the money in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California. They love the mafia, the New World Order. The Mexican mafia loves the banks, knows criminal culture. It's a match made in heaven. America's going down. The states are all going bankrupt. Everything's over. And you're all going to have ID cards to buy and sell, and the illegals are still going to be above the law running around like God, because just like the CIA ships the drugs in and only arrests cartel people or kills them that don't pay the cut, the illegals are there to be part of the black market, which the CIA banks tax. So they belong to them, and they're there to vote to take your guns. They're there to vote for Raza and more division, and they're there to do what all the New World Order needs. And so the standard of living will fall, and we're going to be just like Mexico City within 10 to 15 years. And all the trendy Campaign for Liberty people that are, kind of liberal or whatever you want to call it, they're going to get what they want to. Of course, Ron Paul has been supportive of the Arizona bill because he actually read it. But hey, what's reality? You know, don't let reality get in the middle of things. You know, again, if you're Margaret Sanger and running Planned Parenthood, aborting 51% of babies, the liberals and black leaders call you a wonderful person helping black people. You know, because you hate black people and want to kill them and call them scum and filth and weeds and parasites. That's their favorite word. But if you actually want blacks to get off the welfare and get out of the government control, and you want to point out how they're being controlled and being destroyed societally, along with everybody else, but that's the beta test group, then you're a racist. And if I see Fox News Corps funding Machete, which is a race war film, I don't know if he's changed it, but I've got the script. If he puts out tomorrow what's in that script, it's a race war film. And the Fox News owner is funding the imam running the mosque, along with the Rockefeller Foundation, on record. And they're funding Machete, and they're funding it all. And Jessica Alba can go on TV shows and make jokes about white people and be as racist as she wants, and it's cute and funny, and she's told, you do that, you run white people into the ground. But that's only the cover, so the Hispanics and the blacks and everybody else can be orderly, given their shots, given their abortions, all part of the liberal fun bandwagon, and so all the Mexican mafia can take the women and rape them and chop their heads off and have sex slaves and use them and keep the Mexican people down. It's like, oh, yeah, be with the El Jefe, Look, this movie, according to the script, is basically like the film Inglourious Bastards. But in Inglourious Bastards, the Germans are all evil Nazis who deserve to die. Now, in this case, white people are the Nazis and deserve to die. And it's even produced by Quentin Tarantino, and they admit, Rodriguez says it's like Inglourious Bastards. So I'm a Nazi because I'm white.